Welcome to my video series on off-trail hiking part 4, gear recommendations. Off-trail hiking doesn't ask for many different gear choices compared to on-trail hiking. A path that is suitable for hiking on, and it's not there. So that means that around your foot and leg area there's just going to be more stuff like bushes, and all around you there's just going to be a little bit more nature. And also you don't exactly know where you are, and nobody else knows where you are because they can't say, hey, he's on that trail. Lower leg protection. Reduce the chance that you drop out because of injury. And you can think about snakes or brushes, that kind of thing. But also just think about mud. Grit, stones, etc., sand, because having that in your shoe is just a magnet for foot problems, and foot problems can make you drop out. You're just gonna hike faster and more comfortable, and you're gonna be able to concentrate more if you know that your lower legs are protected and you don't have to worry all the time about getting scratched or getting wet. What I really like is pants that have an integrated gaiter function. There's going to be a lace hook it around your laces, and there's going to be a way to fix this. Nice and tight, and that way nothing gets in. I like this very much for simplicity and effectiveness. Also it's very lightweight because you don't have the added weight of a gaiter. A problem with all that lower leg protection is that pants are warm and the weather may be hot. So what I have and really like is zippers on the side, so I can keep my legs completely protected, but I can still vent some hot air away. Even more effective would be shorts in combination with gaiters. And there's even pants now that integrate this idea, so these are long pants with integrated gaiters, but you can zip them off and convert them into gaiters in combination with shorts. What I also recommend is very protective footwear. I want to go there. This may depend on the area where you are going, but I have read many reports of people who did through hikes, also off trail, also carrying heavy packs, and they just took the trail runner thing too far. Now my shoes may be a little bit on the other side of the spectrum, but maybe you can end up somewhere in the middle. The reasons that I read for people who hike on trail runners to drop out are ankle problems because of lack of support, or injuries on the ankles like cuts, bruises, snake bites, etc. But also skin problems, including blisters, because trail runners are not very waterproof and you're going to be hiking 8 hours long in wet feet, which is going to cause a lot of friction, therefore blisters. I read this trip report by Willem van Doorne, who hikes on trail runners, and on his long distance tour he did not like the entire middle part of Norway, that's hundreds of kilometers guys, because it was so wet. And he was in a bad mood for weeks. That's not worth it. It's your holiday. So if you are in a dry area and you're on trail and your pack is ultralight, knock yourself out and go for ultralight shoes. Great plan. But if one of these 3 elements changes, you need to reconsider. So this is just my opinion, but a trip where you're going just a little bit slower, but you are able to finish your trip is worth more than a faster and lighter trip where you have to drop out halfway. My boots are sadly not for sale all around the world, but check them out anyways. These are Lundhags shoes. They have this integrated lip. They are not fully waterproof because this breathes and there is no membrane on the inside, but they are very protective, as you can see. Sole is very strong, but this is a single layer material, so there's not 3 layers of material cushioning your feet. And this means that these shoes don't retain a lot of water. If you want to cross a river, take off your socks, put the shoes back on, cross the river, take the shoes off, empty them, and there you go again. And they're dry. And that's a great thing in wet areas. I like these shoes a lot. Also, they are lighter than you think. And when hiking off trail, your eyes are vulnerable. Like here, there's lots of, oh, look at this. So that can hurt your eye quite a bit. If you don't have glasses, too bad for you, man. Glasses are awesome. And a brimmed hat also really helps. But a baseball cap is great too. I know a story of at least one person, a very experienced guide, who had to be helicoptered out of the wilderness of Canada because he had a branch in his eye. So even if you don't wear glasses normally because of your eyesight, you can still consider wearing safety glasses. When you're hiking off trail, you will just get more of this. Okay, I need to stop filming here. Also more of this. Trekking poles. Google it and you will find at least 10 reasons why people think trekking poles are great. I agree with 9 out of 10 of these reasons. Some of these reasons are extra important when you're off trail. Trekking poles prevent falling down. They can increase your speed. You can use them to move brush out of the way when you're bushwhacking. You can pitch your tent with them. You can gauge the depth of the marshes or a puddle using your trekking poles. And sometimes people also mention self-defense as a use for trekking poles. There is at least one story of Andrew Skurka, who not only managed to scare off a bear by throwing his trekking pole at the bear, but also he made the bear shit himself as he ran away. If you really plan on using your trekking poles as a self-defense mechanism, it helps if you know what you're doing. Check out my separate video for that. Interesting to note is that all these 10 reasons for having trekking poles also apply to taking just one trekking pole. I did that one year. I had a shoulder injury, so I couldn't use my right arm anyway, so I only took one trekking pole, and that worked out pretty well for me. So maybe you can consider that and save yourself 250 grams. How'd you like my hiking pole? You need a map and a compass, obviously. I also use GPS and I really like that. It helps me prevent making very bad route decisions if I do really get lost. The GPS tells me where I am on my map. So that's a good thing, and it increases your safety if it's actually working. So I save my battery by shutting my wristwatch down when I'm not using it. I do have one tip concerning the GPS. There are several systems, coordinate systems, that you can use on a map and that you can use on a GPS. And it helps if you check before you go on your trip that the one on your map matches with the readings that you get from your GPS. It's very easy to change those settings, like on my Garmin Phoenix, but it saves you hassle if you do it before you leave. There is more inherent danger. So when you have cell reception, you need a phone that will hold its battery for a few days. If you are outside of cell reception, as I am going to be this year, you need a satellite receptor, like my InReach Mini. It has an SOS button. If I press it, it will let people know this guy is in trouble and this is his location. It's only 100 grams. And sure, it isn't cheap, but for ease of mind, no price is too steep, right? Also in dense bushwhacking through bushes or like here in between the trees, Make sure that your pack and everything that is on it and your clothing, everything is nice and tight, no loose hanging ends, so nothing can snag. I put my paddles inside my backpack today. One, so I can fit the poncho over top of it, and two, so that I don't snag on trees. This may seem a bit like an odd tip, but I like to bring things, especially when I go off trail, that are very colorful. Like my pink coffee cup. Can't go without it. The red brim hat I bought specifically for hunting season, so that I wouldn't be mistaken for an elk. Moose. One thing is, if you take a walk around your camp, you want to be able to find your camp back. And having something colorful really helps. If you lose something, oh, hang on. If you lose your knife and it has a bright red color, it's easier to find it back. And the rescue will find you easier if you have colorful things on. If you are on a trail, the rescue will roughly know where to look for you. Off trail, less so. Because they can be pretty close to you and still miss you if you are incapacitated in your camouflage clothing in a ditch.